I haven't heard from them. Okay, well, welcome. Oh, are you switching
You're
your
good to go.
hour?
Yeah, it's on.
So, you've all got the agenda and things that we sent you, including the financials this time. And you can see by the agenda, I mean, the two main features today, I guess, if you like, aside from the routine reporting, is we've got to bring some closure to the whole strategic plan update task. And Keith will be walking us through that when we get down to it, and then also the election. That's about that's the best we to say. If you had a chance to look at the minutes, anybody? Sure, Gavin did his usual stellar job. If there's any correction, let me know. Questions, comments, I looked at them, I think they're all in good shape. All right.
Second.
Thanks. Great, all in favor of approving them as is? Okay, carries. Thank you. All right, well, then the next thing on the agenda is Mike. You've got your financials this time and operations report, and you also want to give the update on your committee that you put together for the
Yes. I do forget everything. Thank you. We do finally have some financials. We got with finance and asked them to come help us, run these reports because they're not hard, but the new Munis system, there's a lot of parameters and boxes you have to check in order to get certain reports. I did work with the Munis system when I was at Floyd County, but it's been 4.5 years, so I've kind of forgotten, what boxes to check. But anyway, so we were able to get some information, and finance is still working on some things. We're going to be getting some year-end information as well from our last fiscal year, and that'll be coming as well. So we'll have that data captured. But just going on down, these are financial reports for December 2022. We had a good month. It was one of the slowest months we've had in December. We did fairly well. We netted a total revenue minus expense of 10,500 roughly, and I'd like to see it pretty much in the 30,000 range. But again, it was a very wet month, a very cold month. Not a lot of people flying in that month, so just to make even, break even or make some money is good. So if you look in, and we can talk about each individual, but if you look at the here today, you'll see at the end, we're doing very well with $484,000 right now, and I contribute a lot of that to the good football season we had. The Tennessee game, that was just crazy, but we did very well there as well. But so going back to the month to date, Avgas and Jet A are pretty much comparable. If you look at the revenue and the expenses on Avgas, you'll see that the expenses are higher. When that happens, normally we bought some fuel at the end of the month. We're actually using that fuel, in the month. Yeah. So that's that, and everything else has kind of been in line. Airport fees are good. See those again, doing very well in airport fees. Coming down to expenses, nothing really out of the ordinary here. We're doing some maintenance, preventive maintenance, and also some upkeep. We've had to spend some money on the field farm, and then also our our electrical bulbs had some issues during December, which cost us about $3,000. That was just because of the cold. It was just freezing cold. It was damp, and it got to some of the components in there. And so we had to spend some money on that as well. But everything else is pretty much in line. Any questions?
Any fallout from taking so long to get financial statements.
Any falling out? Yeah, we talked to, John Holden with the county when he was here. And, I mean, there's a lot of people that are wanting to see their financials and their numbers. And, you know, new things, I guess, especially this one, they weren't really, I guess, prepared in the sense because, Eden was the old company. Munis bought Eden, so they knew that we'd have to make this transition. And it was just a big job. And I think it just kind of went further than what they expected, unfortunately. And they only have so many people in finance. I think that's a big part of it too. But, yeah, it's just a situation, but thankfully, in our department anyway, we have, the Atlas system out there, which actually is a point of sale machine. And we can kind of keep up with reports from that, you know, so we kind of know where we are. You know, we knew that we were kind of ahead of the game, or we weren't, you know, losing money. So we still kind of had a handle on it, but there's some departments, you know, that they don't, you know, they have no other way to gauge it. So, yeah, I haven't really heard, anything as far as it falling. But, okay, so, moving on to capital improvement projects.
Hang on a second. We'll just do the key operations.
Yeah, I'll put that there. So we got together, Craig, David, myself, and we're looking at, hangar 1080. We just got together last week and talking about, an RFP on that hangar itself. So we're gonna get going on that. The 990 hangar, the RFPs, you know, our committee had looked at those. We scored them and we sent that information to purchasing. Purchasing looked at it and said it looks good to them. So the one that got the RFP for the 990 hangar is Airstar. That's Robert Barker. He's got several aircraft that he uses for the charter, and he also has a maintenance that he's gonna do out of this hangar as well. And we thought that was the best fit for that hangar. You know, we had a lot of good terms, I think, you know, a lot of good RFPs. But that one kind of led the way. I'll let David and Craig talk to it if they want to say anything about that.
It seemed fitting because I think Parker actually constructed that hangar. He got the best fit based on a lot of factors.
You know, a lot of our talks was what do we envision this airport becoming over time? And their proposal matched a lot of what our vision envisioned.
Yeah.
There's a better, I'm sure there's a more eloquent way of saying that,
But that is true.
but it matched the strategy that we had.
It would fit this side very well. And like David and Craig said, it's what we see the airport, the direction they really want to see it.
So when will they actually take possession?
Well, these tenants, right now will be out at the end of this month. We're working with, the county attorney and risk manager. We updated the lease about a year and a half ago. And, we just gave it to them again, just in case things change, you know, as far as legalities and whatnot. So long with them to look at the lease again. And once they kind of give us the okay, we're gonna shoot it to Robert. Then, that risk, you know, insurance needs. So probably looking at about another 30 days.
What's gonna happen to the people that are there? That's when
They pretty much fizzled out anyway.
do they?
Yeah. Yeah, their flight school, he also has the flight school. That one seems to be going pretty strong, but this one got here, his intent was to do more Vietnamese and someone else, but because of COVID, they couldn't bring that in, so, you know, he tried different ways to make this work. So it kind of turned out good. Let's do. As far as operations, talk about the self-serve, we're still working on the self-serve. I think it was 2 meetings ago, I had, gonna have a meeting with Josh Simpson, who's our rep for Titan. And he's our fuel supplier. He had car trouble and couldn't make it that day. So we're trying to set up another time where he can come out here on the site, determine exactly where we want to put it, exactly what it would cost. Last year, because of, talk about fallout, because of the financials and all, I didn't realize that our self-serve wasn't approved, or wasn't in the budget for last year. It is this year, I guess it is. So even though we put it in there, requested it, it never was put in. So this year, it's definitely, we're following it closely with our budget process. We have it in there. So I'll just follow it, I just assumed it would be in there, but for some reason. But anyway, this year, we're gonna follow it, make sure it's in there. So it should all work out good. By the time Titan's able to help us and we get this money, be fine. And I don't think it's really gonna hurt us as far as, the time, any delays. It might be 4 months delay, but I think, we can still move forward. As soon as Josh gets here and gives me some good numbers too, that would help.
Probably it's in the strategic plan for mid-year. Is that-
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And we can do a lot before we can. It needs to be ordered. That's gonna take some time too. We can go ahead and order it. Because regardless, say worst comes to worst, if ACC doesn't approve it, I think Titan will help us.
What kind of dollars we figured on?
Well,
As far as that the net that the airport/city would have on this as a vote, not including Titan.
I mean, the cost?
Yeah.
Yeah, I put 50,000 in there. It's probably gonna be, I might not need all that, Titan can help. It's probably gonna be about $80,000 unit, because it's not gonna be a huge thing,
Right, yeah.
but, I think that's what I figured at the time of year.
So who would pay the members then?
Oh, it'll be us.
Okay. So what would the county benefit from?
Well, what we get, these folks know, when you get on FlightAware or AirNav, the price of fuel actually shows us the lowest price. So if you have the lowest price, which is going to be self-serve, then that's kind of broadcast right away when people find out, what's the fuel price. Plus, I'll be able to put a lower price on the self-serve as we're not utilizing the trucks and wear and tear and the personnel and that kind of thing. Plus, it's a 24/7 unit, so you can use it any of the day or night. So there's a lot of advantages to it, and it does make a little bit of money, but it's more for convenience and marketing. Just get it.
We were doing a money assessment last year, we talked about some things, and I remember you said, based on your experience at Rome and otherwise, that this won't take away from the full service gas demand. So it's totally adding more revenue. So it's like you're not really losing anything, but you're gaining a fair amount.
Yeah, and a lot of them go over to self-service because that's the cheapest fuel.
Yeah, and out of the convenience sake, from a staffing sake, we're limited to pump the number of trucks we have per fuel plus, equal to the number of employees working. Whereas, self-serve allows people to just get in line at the gas station.
Mhm.
So, on game days and such, if between putting 1,000 gallons into, some big jet versus, 100 gallons 10 times or 70 gallons 13 times in smaller planes, it makes more sense to be running that Jet A fuel for volume. So,
So the county doesn't necessarily get any cash benefit, but they should appreciate the enhancement of the area.
It does help us as far as, customer service,
Yeah,
you know, the quality that we provide. to
Yeah.
customers.
yeah, you're serving the community, you know, yeah, get on.
Yeah,
It sounds like it's gonna add to the revenue line also.
Yeah,
it will.
Yeah.
It's not gonna make us rich, but it does help.
Right, and it brings people that, you know, from a flight planning perspective, the weekend warrior pilots that are flying around GA, you see a tower and they show up on the map as blue instead of magenta airports. You know, ingrained in you is the thought that, oh, it's going to be more expensive. I'm going to be charged a ramp fee, which we don't charge. I'm going to be charged a handling fee by some FBO, which we don't have. I'm going to be charged more for gas. Well, if we can combat that with, you know, right on any of the flight planning apps, you can have a layer that presents what is the cheapest rate of fuel. If that is in line with other non-towered airports, you know, in the area, then somebody may say, oh, let's go to Athens, you know, and it, you know, we have crew cars here that get used. So somebody flies in here from out of town, gets the crew car, visits downtown, goes to restaurants. You know, it does definitely bring people into the city. It's advantageous for the city.
But it literally is a self-service.
It's just
It
just like going to a gas station.
Yeah, put your credit card in and you got a static line to the aircraft, got to do that. Does it pump with that?
Yeah, well,
Okay, well, okay.
Still thinking the, same location of those, grass triangles.
Yeah, they would not look at that. I think it's just a great idea. Yeah, we'll have to eliminate some of those tie downs, you know, but that's okay.
so who has to approve it? Do the commissioners? Or is it just fine?
Well, if if they approve, well, regardless, if they don't approve the numbers, we can still buy it. We'll just have to get a PO for it.
Mhm.
But, if they approve it through the budget process, then it's where they approve it. One way or the other, we can get it. Capital improvement projects, we've got, Texway Alpha. So where we are on that is, we are talking hard and heavy with Pastor and our lawyers are kind of going at it there. We are, probably we are gonna, part ways with Asper. And, we are working with GDOT and FAA. Our contract with the Alpha Project Schedule A, that, contract ends the end of this month. But FAA and GDOT, will automatically renew that money that's left over and for a new project. And, same project, we'll just have to redesign it, again, you know, to avoid the rock, and then also, rebid it. So we're working fast and furious to kind of get all those things going so that we can, move on and get this project completed. Now, once we do start, the first thing we'll do, of course, is, you know, go from Alpha 1 and finish up Alpha 3. We're not going to touch anything, you know, to the west. That'll be a priority to get that done. So, that's where we are there. Tomorrow, ER Snell's coming out. Well, it's Thursday coming out. And do some, pouring out there on 220.
Sorry, to interrupt you. I thought I heard my phone. I've got a message from Jeff.
Okay.
He said, I'm sorry to text you at this late moment. I'm still in Houston with my wife. The surgery went well, but it recovered to be a little harder than planned. Completely forgot about it. So it's sort of kind of a reminder. So he told me his wife's going to have some serious problems, so.
Okay.
I don't think that'll change anything we do today, but. So,
Yeah, well, budget.
okay, good, sorry.
So,
I'll just reply to him on each one.
okay. So 220, we still plan on doing that in April, starting that project. And that should be a pretty easy and quick project. And a good project. When we get it done, we'll have some new line, new surface. So that'll be great. The ROFA project, we actually completed that this month. We've got it all cleared off. Had a small GDOT grant for that one, FAA GDOT grant, about a little over 200,000, which also included 30,000 for the aircraft firefighting foam test equipment. So that's also FAA has been asking us, we soon will require us to have. So with that done, let the FAA know about that. And so this airport is discrepancy free. Arofa was a discrepancy at one time. We've been trying to find the easiest way to get that done and without much cost. And so we were able to find this way and it worked out perfectly. So I let the FAA know, and they're really happy that that's completed. And I think the next thing that I'm thinking they'll probably scream about FAA is probably fencing. And so we probably have to do design on fencing, but I'll talk about that.
Yeah, I've got a little exhibit that I had drafted that we can work from.
Okay.
Let's look at, I'm
Yeah.
totally ready to talk about
Okay, good. That'll be important. We get something going on that, but I can tell that point as well. And then, let's see, it's, marketing and outreach activities. Davin went to, function with the Hollywood group. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, so Ollie, the retirement group here in town has a fair and we were invited to speak or to table at that event. And so it's a good way to, most of the folks I spoke with had, were new to Athens. So a lot of them were asking questions about, of course, commercial service. This is the first question I've everybody's mouth. But it was a good event and they're going to do a tour. Ollie will do a tour sometime this fall. So that's good. Just trying to bring more awareness to the airport.
And then I think you've been talking to Athens, was it the high school?
Oh, Leadership Athens, Youth Leadership Athens, Jeff Montgomery, who's our public information officer for Athens-Clarke County, works with Youth Leadership Athens, and they are going to come to the airport on February 7th for a visit. So they'll have lunch here. There's an etiquette class that they'll take during lunch, and then they'll do a tour of the airport.
My son did that last year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember. Yeah.
I think he had Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Chick-fil-A, remember that.
It's amazing how everybody loves Chick-fil-A.
That's the 16. 15, 16.
That's a bunch, yeah. That's a ton of them. That's all I have.
Okay, well, thank you, Mike. Any questions or further comments for Mike? On any of those?
We have a rough estimate of the timeline for 220, would that be like 6 months or?
No.
No, it shouldn't be that long at all.
Oh,
No. I remember 45 days. Is that right? Is that-
I'd have to double check, but I wouldn't estimate more than 160 days on that. So
It's
it's
kind of like Alpha should have been.
go quick. It should go quick.
Yeah.
Weather permitting.
Weather permitting, right, yeah. Yeah, in my email to the tenants, I was gonna go 45 days, and I thought, that kind of sounds too,
It might be a little optimistic.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll double check on that and just make sure, but so far it's been good to work with that contractor. He's been real communicative and he's trying to get a head start on what he can get a head start on. So, hopefully we have a much better situation this time around.
Yeah.
And that's gonna include remodeling the airport, rather than.
No, not this. The FAA at one point in time told us that we would have to, but then it went to another person. And they said, a little higher up, I guess, and they said, no, it doesn't have to be right. I think they said another 10 years.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know. I just knew that we didn't have to do that.
So I think they said it could go another 10 years.
What is this renumber and what is it?
Yeah, every now and then, you know how to explain it? Every now and then the earth tilts.
Yeah, well, the runway
Right,
number is based on the magnetic
Yeah.
declination
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So
yeah, right.
as the change in the magnetic declination changes over time, and so the
degrees on your runway. Have
Okay,
changed,
gotcha,
update
yeah.
with that, so I'm not sure what it was supposed to change to. That was, I came on a little late in the project, but
You be 3-2-1.
3, 2, 1.
That's what we want.
yeah,
Really?
instead of 2 degrees.
That's a big difference.
Well, yeah, you only go in 10-degree increments, so as
Yeah.
soon as
Oh,
it's 0 to 5, you know, up until 0 to 5,
uh-huh,
it's still a 2, but
okay.
2, 5 to 3, 4, 9.
Yeah.
Is,
You have to let everybody know that.
yeah,
Everybody who's coming.
yeah, the charts get reprinted every 28 days, so.
So they want to take a look at that. Where are we?
You note them, you put it on a note them.
Yeah, right, yeah, it's not as painfully critical as you think it might be. You have one that goes in this direction, you've got one that goes in that direction, especially like this, you know, whereas at Hartsfield though, you've
So they've
got,
got to renumber all of those at Hartsfield.
sure, they're 5 parallel, but really they're, you know, they have, you know, what is it? They've got 926, 927, 927 left and right.
Yeah.
They've got 825, what is it? 826 left and right, and then center
10-8.
1028. Yeah, so
All of those are going to have different numbers.
at some point, well, and they may not go, you know,
They're all parallel, and the reason they're different numbered at Hartsfield is just because that you can have 9 center, 9 left, and 9 right, and then you gotta use a different number.
yeah, you got to use a different number. Right, right.
And so
That
that's
would be-
why you have 826 and.
That'd be confusing if those change, because then they
Because
shift.
then they shift. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a real problem, potentially.
Then you gotta do new GPS approach. That's a big deal.
So everybody in the tower needs to know all those different numbers.
And it'll happen under tower people
It's a
where,
big deal.
you know, they'll
That's
give the
not
instruction
changing.
for the old numbers and somebody transient is like, wait a second, that's not what it said. Like,
Yeah.
am I at the right airport? But it's only moving 10 degrees east every, you know, it's 1 digit east.
It's just interesting that it does it all.
Eventually they come back around.
Yeah, well, our poles swap. So, you know, our north pole will be, you know, Antarctica. Does Santam have to move? I don't know how that works.
He has the 8 magical penguins instead of.
Yeah. They do. He does have a whole squad of elves too, so I guess moving for him is.
It's weird. Is this one?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Santa needs to be in the minutes.
That meeting went off the rails.
I'm checking in February.
This is a little Mike puts out the sign, welcome to Athens, Tennessee.
I was having a conversation in Alabama earlier today with somebody talking about Athens, and it took, you know, 5 or 6 minutes of that conversation to realize you're not talking about where I live. You're talking about Athens, Alabama. And,
Or the real Athens.
well, right, you get that on Reddit.
Yeah,
You know,
you do.
people will get on the Athens subreddit and asking questions about
Where to get
Greek
the best
restaurants.
Yeah. Well, we got.
Where do the locals eat? Like pig. Yeah. Meat.
It's close.
That's just a weird reason.
I think this is where we say call to order.
You need a gavel.
Don't have one, you know.
Well, I gotta buy you guys.
I've only got a red pen. Okay. So, well, thank you, Mike. That was more colorful than sometimes. Yeah. So, okay, back to the boring stuff, old business. Gavin sent you what actually is a year-long update from Derek Doster about the Lexington Road stuff, which was good. And in a nutshell, you can, you know, it's just interesting to see the process, but you can see he gave, you know, what's being done so far that we know, but basically they're still into all this, you know, drawings for easement and right of access for all of those sidewalk and other projects, and then back and forth between the planning department and GDOT. And Mike will be keeping on the case about that intersection with the potential new entrance of Trinitas development.
Yeah.
Has he talked to you about that at all? Because he doesn't say anything in here specifically, but
Yeah, not lately. I haven't had a chance to talk to them lately either.
Yeah.
about it, But, that's fine to do.
Yeah.
Still go.
Yeah.
Gina, working with Gina.
Yeah. And then environmental permitting, utilities, you know, it's just interesting to me to look at, you know, the quite lengthy list of things, and you can see why when members of the public said, well, why do you take so long to build these little sidewalks? And he said, well, you don't understand, you know, how complicated the process is, even for little projects like these, because they are little by comparison with everything else. So Derek's pretty good at, you know, letting us know. So I don't know if any of you got any questions about those, but I will continue to be as we go. So then, aside from that, we're on to no new business as usual. That's what we need to change in the coming months. I don't know, seeing that always on the agenda, no new business. Some of that relates to some of the things in the strategic plan. So the next thing is strategic plan. And I really hope we can sort of bring some closure to those tasks. The ones on the list here are follow-up from last month's December meeting.
Yeah, I think that with this one, and Mike, let's take a bit of your input here too.
Yeah.
You already got it up there. Yeah, okay, sounds good. What we have left in the last meeting, the main thing are just a couple of points for us to talk about today with the strategic plan, and that's some target dates on some of the items that are TBD to be determined, which is mostly on the last page. Just tying those down, I think we had agreed, let's either put in our best estimate of a date or agree to remove those, eliminate those as priorities for the strategic plan altogether. Before we get down to those TBDs, let me just ask Mike, since you were kind of covering some updates, and we might as well do this about a couple of the projects there under goal number 1. Yeah, there you get it up there. Goal number 1, we've got, I think you just mentioned maybe some updates, Mike, and that's on the taxiway A.
Yeah.
We did have it as December 23, which obviously is not happening. You got that plus the rehab overlay runway 220.
Yeah.
So I think you got a couple of different dates there. You got a new projected estimate. I know the 220 said maybe 90 days after
I
April.
would say the end of 24 for Alpha, because that's when, this other contract
Okay,
that they redo will end. So they have to have it done by then. And then the 220, so it starts in April, so May to June. But, so just, we could always change it for Central.
I mean, I'd say August.
Just August.
August this year.
Yeah.
So that's that 220 up there.
Yeah.
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 And then also you got under 1-2 there, strategy 1-2. I don't know, Devin, if you could make these updates, your maybe master copy of this.
Yeah.
Input to ClearPoint. The other one they all mentioned was the ROFO, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Under 1-2, that's done now.
We completed that. The only thing that has to be done now is a site visit, inspection rather, that February, and then make payment, get reimbursed for it.
Okay,
So, I mean, as far as the project itself, it's done.
okay. So I guess that moves us over to some of the TBDs, and Mike, you maybe propose what would make sense here or throw it out as whether we need to include the item. But goal number 2, initiative 212 there, where we have goal timing to be determined. That's the one about research alternates to traditional legacy carriers.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know how much.
I have, I think this meeting that I have coming up, which I was going to talk about, during their service development, and next week will be an important meeting because I'm going to be talking to American United and Hilo and got a couple others. But, our SCSD grant runs out and at the end of 24, I believe, unless they extend it, which I don't know if they will. but there's a lot of factors, pilot shortages and stuff. But with that said, it's time to really just focus and not, we were kind of waiting for an American and Columbus, they came out of Columbus, which, and, that was one of the things, I guess, that we were waiting on, because I think they did tell me that, that they were gonna go to Columbus, they're gonna see how that one did, and that would be a factor of Athens. So, I haven't talked to them since they pulled out. But really, gonna get really, aggressive, I guess, with American, see if they're gonna do anything in the near future. Not then, some of these other carriers that we're talking about here. I have been talking to another carrier, but we were trying to hold out for American because they were the ones that kind of helped us got the scarcity grant. But, so I'm going to be very aggressive, and we did a destination analysis, which I'll share with everybody. I got that from a meeting too long ago. Then they're working on presentations for next week for me for several airlines next week, which I'll share with you as well. And then one thing that I talked to Doug Lissett about with me is that I want to see if we can't do another market study. It's about $16,000. I think the last one we did was probably 10 or 12. But that was right when I got here. David remembers that. And it was a good study, but then I really didn't want to I didn't want to spend any money on another market study with the way the pandemic was, and everything was kind of crazy and numbers really weren't there. But I think as far as the pandemic, I think things are kind of flying again. And now it's just a pilot shortage. But regardless, I think we could benefit. And from talking to some of these airlines, they really want to see it, I think. It's a good new market study. So I think I want to spend the money on that. We've got the money, in the ASD account too. And I've been very frugal with that account. Haven't been wanting to spend a whole lot of money on it. But now that the scarcity is kind of shelf life, we really got to push things.
So then there's like a time frame you've been talking
Yeah.
about there. Instead of putting TBD, when does the scan grant?
Probably the end of 24. It might be extended, but right now that's what it would be. And American told me this is prior to them, but out of Columbus, that if they did come, it would be within 2024.
So you could sort of say 2023, 24 is the
Yeah.
time frame you're talking about.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, most definitely.
Keith, I don't know how you
Yeah, because this one,
suggest then.
Maybe
I mean,
the end of 24.
it's almost like until we have a commercial airline, the way this one is worded, it continues, and, looking at options and all that. But you'll just say, it's on 2024.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then, let's see. So,
The next part, that is with old four, isn't it? No, there's a TBD there.
yeah, there's one.
Two.
Yeah, initiative 222, pursue cargo handling options. Mike, what do you think there?
That's ongoing, I would say, because we don't have anything in concrete yet. And, these two gentlemen here could help me, and try to secure an area, which, that area right there would be great, to have some cargo operations. I feel like we could benefit. We have cargo now, as you all know, we have cargo, but, it's just sporadic. But I really would love to put that on paper, find something as far as cargo.
So this one just said things going on, too much of a gray area to say a specific date
Yeah,
that's ongoing.
yeah.
Well,
I mean, does it have to have a to be determined date? I mean, can we just say ongoing? Because it is one of those, it's evolving all the time.
Well, part of our plans are with this group that we all agree that at once a quarter we'll do a thorough review of where we stand with all these. So we'll update at that point.
Okay, and as
unless
information,
it's new, like if that initiative was sort of, you've got cargo, but if that idea is new, you could almost put like an initiation date, and then from there on it's ongoing.
Okay.
What you're saying is that just for argument's sake, it may not be the case, but if you
Yeah.
sort of say, well, now that's something we want to start posting, we could put this year as the date and then ongoing. That's a bit more
Okay.
specific than TBD.
Yeah, because the goal, the initiative here is to pursue cargo handling. So this doesn't mean you've got cargo handling implemented.
Oh, so it's just working on it. Started, okay, well, yeah,
Of
okay.
what the
It's okay.
initiative
Is it in the master plan?
I would say that with that said, I would probably say, I'd like to get together and look at that pre-day, wait, maybe the next 4 months, I guess.
Well, so then you, that would be like overt action, so you could just
Yeah.
say this year onwards. Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking that, you know,
Yeah.
particularly if you combine the strategic plan with the annual report, outsiders to the airport are going to see it and be interested, which is why it would be better to have things.
Yeah, I see your
Clear.
point there, yeah. That
Yes.
makes sense. Okay, well, let's do that.
What, how you want to state it, 2023?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then like from 23 onwards, so 2023 and ongoing,
yeah, that's good.
yeah.
I thought the general about the master plan, because I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
He's the master of master plans.
Okay. Um, Let's see, then, strategy 3, I'm sorry, goal 3, strategy 3.2 about building hangars. We got a couple of TBDs there, Mike.
Yeah,
We got the T hangars and then the east side hangar area. Here you talked about it.
we talked about hangars, Craig and David and myself, most recently, and I also talked about hangars with, county, management yesterday. And I told them that T hangars would be tough to build right now because everything's so pricey. If you build a T hangar, you have to charge an enormous amount per month from them. And a lot of these folks, you know, like, if I had an airplane, I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So I would probably wait on a T hangar. But one of the other things, as far as the date, though, what kind of date would you put as far as T hangars when you think of?
Well,
Like the end of 23?
Well, I mean, if you're, like, we can put on, again, we're gonna be following up once a quarter with the
Yeah.
whole report. So, build T hangars to meet demand, and you mentioned the cost issues, we could, say, just beside it there, instead of TBT, hold until, costs are in line.
Construction cost, materials cost.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But the other option here, I'll add this, and we talked about this as well, is we have a set already, it's our A hangars, where they're, like, what do we say, about 40 by 40 or 40 by 60? 60 by 60. And there's four of them in that hangar over there, and we're getting some good money for it. And that houses King Airs, more corporate, you know, style, folks that probably can afford, you know, a new hangar. And so, instead of T hangars right now, but we'll watch, we'll watch the market and material costs and all, and see when the right time is. And we can jump on it at that time. But I think it'd be a good time right now to build, a set of these hangars, maybe 4 or 6 of them that are 60 by 60s. We're gonna do an RFP, like I said, on the, 1080 hangar. And, we've got 2 King Airs in there right now. They're gonna put in an RFP, but if they don't get the RFP, then they'll be displaced. They'll need a place to go. So if we had hangars like that, I mean, there's two King Airs right there. We've got 2 Pilatuses, on the field now that are sharing a hangar with somebody, one of the bigger hangars over here. And know that one of them's concerned that he may, move it out, and if he does, he'll have no place to go. So these type of hangars, I mean, they're willing to pay and really, have these type of hangars for them. Others, I get calls all the time.
So if you were somebody outside of the inner circle of the airport looking at that, what would make sense to somebody? Who would say it's ongoing, you're already doing it, you're thinking about it?
Yeah, so
Or it's contingent upon.
I would say the T hangars, and you guys can correct me, but I would say the T hangars are contingent on the material costs coming down. And, the corporate box and trailers that we're talking, that we're talking about, hangers, I think, I'd like to get started on that right away, actually.
So in that, we maybe add a new item in here, just as far as initiative, right? It sounds like
Yeah.
corporate box hangers needs to be separate one.
Because
And
they are. So
roughly, what would you think as far as those corporate hangers? Is that?
I'd like to look at,
That's just as a target, best estimate target at this point, to try to kind of complete.
I'd like to get started on that as far as, maybe looking at some design and stuff. Where we can, let's say March, right?
As far as design, okay.
Then I can find out, get some cost estimates. Talking to the county yesterday about this, it sounds like, we've got some money in the bank that uh, we can work with some of that and also get a loan for it. Our debt, it's, what was it, 30% now? I think it was 30% as far as last, I can't remember, but anyways, come down. So we did pay off one of the people that we had. That was the most recent. So according to the county and finance, we can stand to get another loan. It'll be fine. I would rather put the money into something like that than a bill, to bring, more revenue. And then the bigger the aircraft, of course, the more fuel, jet fuel. So I think that type right now is what we really need. And then we can kind of watch the market with, zeros and see where they come down and we can go from there on the team.
So
So what would you put for that one, into the team?
Yeah, hanger,
That's, since you're actively looking at it now.
about summer 23, we got to look at that.
If, I know we have potentially 2 King Airs and potentially other PC-12s. But if we built a row of 6, and I think I know the answer, but if we built a row of 6, 60x60 box hangers, do you think we'd immediately fill them?
I know we would get 4 for sure. And this is just not these folks, those are
Sure.
other that I'm talking with.
Yeah,
Probably
the-
6.
yeah.
And then
Um,
transient rental too. People come-
Right, well, just thinking in terms of, even if on a short-term basis, if we didn't, even on a short-term basis, put 3 pistons in that same hangar, that would fit in PC-12 or something.
Yeah.
There, a group hangar aspect wouldn't be unheard of, certainly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a terrible way to utilize space. So and the reason I bring that up is maybe this isn't necessarily its own goal. Maybe this isn't really a remote. More hangar space, I think, is the goal. And, delineating what is a T hangar, what is a box hangar, executive hangar, FBO hangar, maybe not be worthwhile
So
to,
just put it all together.
because those are terms that only us care about anyway. More hangars, everybody understands what that means.
But you're talking about right now. Time frame is 23, 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not looking 5 years ahead or something.
No, we already need them down.
Yeah, so, I mean, keep something.
And then people say, oh, well, this isn't just some Hail Mary, this is actually occurring, and
Well, that's what I'm saying, those TBDs don't give outsiders
Any-
what's that?
I agree with it.
If you see, well, all right, these guys are working on it now, 23 with a view to 824 or something.
And if for nothing else, it strikes up the conversation, well, what hangars did you build? Well, these are the
Yeah.
hangars that we just built, and with that money pouring in, these are the hangars that we want to build next.
would reasonably be, as far as whatever kind of hangars we end up being able to build, could that be accomplished in 23, or is it gonna have to roll into 24?
Probably 24 as far as the building part.
So we want to put that as the
This is
goal,
more of a design.
2024,
You could say design 23,
Design.
maybe construction 20.
okay?
Sounds reasonable. Yep.
Yeah. I think that's clear, anybody can understand that, oh, so it's not just a flat set bar in the sky. Yeah.
Sounds good. And then the east side, anything there, Mike? We've got developed plans for the east side hangar area.
Well,
We wrap that, I don't know if we want to wrap that into it, or is that a little separate?
depends on when David and Craig, so that would be better.
So is that the same, that the same sort of time frame as what we just
Right.
discussed?
23, 24?
So just put that.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
We got plans, man. We got ideas.
All right, then, down goal 4, let's see, we had several under strategy 4 too.
Yeah.
Okay. Several there. The first one there, initiative 421 was determine media and online platforms and develop a content management plan for a quarterly newsletter, social media engagement.
Yeah, that, I want you to look at that one, because I'm not sure about that wording, what it really means. You know, sometimes things get sort of ordered and carried along the version, 421. Online, media and online platforms.
Yeah, I think the result they were trying to get is
And
quarterly newsletter and social media engagement.
is that something that you
Well-
feel you are doing?
We are, except for the newsletter, which I do want to start back. Yeah, I'm waiting on Davin to get that going. But that up there was when, you know, when David and everybody else, the original group did this. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have a newsletter. We didn't have.
That's what I'm saying, I mean,
Some
some
of
of it,
this is really done. It doesn't need to be there anymore, really. To tell you the truth.
well, that's what I'm saying, when I read that, it sounds like, well, that was then.
Yeah.
But you don't really still need that there unless you need still to have something like the newsletter and, you know,
Yeah,
social media engagement, and just sort of, that can be sort of ongoing.
yeah.
So on that one, do you want to stay, we say this otherwise, and another one, continue this achievement ongoing?
Yeah.
Or just take it out?
Or you could take out the media and online platforms.
Yeah, that's
That's
also-
already been done.
That's-
Just leave the second part of that about the newsletter and social media, because that's sort of ongoing. Now, this was before you even really even had the website.
Yeah, we everything comes from. Yeah, we had the old ACC website.
Yeah,
Okay, so ongoing with that one about the quarterly newsletter.
yeah,
The next one, 422, pursue local partnerships with economic development agencies, business leaders, community groups.
that depends how literal you want to be. You remember there's when talking to the county for the education, folded. And there hasn't really been anything, but we had that prison.
Yeah.
It's 10, so. But TV doesn't help there either, so, but
Yeah.
it's more, what you want to put there, where you're not actively pursuing anything right
What
now.
about this, since that's, I mean, that's kind of an important effort you got
Yeah.
going, ongoing, and again, part of what we're gonna be doing is once a quarter reviewing this.
Yeah,
It may be good, even just as a placeholder for that value, just put in as ongoing also.
yeah,
It is because we approach them, you know, as we see them in the community, we
Yeah.
approach them and they'll say, well, we're not quite ready yet, you know,
Yeah.
we still want to do it, but we're not quite ready. And a lot of it, I think, was the pandemic and then trying to recover from that.
yeah.
We still ask them though, and when they're ready, you know, we're ready.
Are y'all in agreement so far, with what we're saying, these last couple, the ongoing items? So,
They're the same with a community engagement one and events. I mean, you could be literal there and say, we had a committee and we looked at stuff, we had a whole list of events and everything, and then it all got put in the back burner because of COVID. I mean, if you want to be that detailed, you could actually put an initiation date, because that's 2019-20. And then, you know, resuming it now, or you can just cut through it and say ongoing.
I'm just saying.
okay. then
Yeah.
we're to move on.
Because that's sort of open-ended as well. It's not like one event that you're aiming.
Right, and there's multiple.
Yeah,
We got this last one is 4.3, is 4.3, pursue aviation training and education partnerships with local education entities.
That's a part of working maybe with the high school, I think, that we were trying to do. I know
Right.
some of the communities do have
yeah,
that. And again, I did talk, this has been a little while, I did talk to the high school and they weren't quite ready. Were you talking to them too, David, or was it? Must have been Henry. And, they weren't quite ready. So, you know, we'll keep on though, when they are ready. Love to have some sort of a curriculum where they can talk about aviation, maybe some simulators and stuff like that.
Do we, let me just ask you this, do you want to remove that one or leave it on here and put it as delayed? That's up to you, since anybody got any thoughts on that?
Because it could go back to the one we were just talking about too. I mean, that's kind of the same thing. Yeah, yeah,
And, I mean, this is supposed to be forward looking rather than looking back.
yeah.
Where you say, well, we did it 2 or 3 years ago, but we haven't been doing anything for the last 3 years, 3 years, sounds a bit lame.
Yeah.
But they're sort of open-ended and ongoing. They're contingent upon a lot of things that you'd have to explain somewhere else.
Yeah.
So,
I'd probably consolidate that one to the other one because when we were reading and talking about the other one, I was thinking
Yeah.
about that one.
Just put it under, strategy 4.2, is that what we're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, and then,
I mean, you could put 2023 ongoing, because we're in 2023.
Yeah.
Why don't you just add that here? I mean, being
Consistent.
literal about it, we are.
Yeah.
We are. And we haven't done anything in the last couple of years, but that's not to say we won't.
Yeah, when they're ready, we're ready because we have asked them again.
Same with the trail. All of it is sort of,
Oh, yeah.
well, waiting. The
Uh-huh.
park.
Yeah.
the last one,
Athens Academy, though, right? They're not at the Athens Tech. Yeah, yeah, we met with them too, at one couple times. Yeah, and they weren't ready for us, I think, at the time. But I've talked to them a little bit, most recently at a meeting we had a couple months ago. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So have you got
So-
all of them now?
yeah, that, because the last one, 5.1 is, I mean, it has to be ongoing, that's just
Yeah.
continue to, meet or exceed the budget.
Yeah.
So I think that's all that we had with, those except Mike Davin, any, input, just looking at the agenda about the, Clearpoint plan revisions to reflect the updates on where we stand with inputting this into Clearpoint.
But now that we've got these dates, I think we can go ahead and do this update, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Sounds good.
Now, there's that old issue about detail. If you want me, to help you in a way in terms of collapsing all of those into far fewer words.
Okay.
I'm happy to.
Okay, absolutely. I'll work with you on that.
Because one of the problems is we sort of, we keep inheriting old wording. And it doesn't have to be that wording.
Right.
So
Yeah.
based on the notes I made here, Davin, with everybody saying, I'll send you an update of this, I'll copy everybody of it, so. And then otherwise, part 2 there on the agenda, updated, strategic plan. The topics of the, printing of these and including it in the next annual report. I think we've had some discussion, Mike, we were talking about the review and Davin about that. What's the latest or
On the annual report?
yeah, I think what we were saying is we wanted to include in the upcoming annual report for this prior year, include, the strategic plan in there. I think we all agreed on that in our last
We
meeting.
did it.
And so just kind of updates about that. You think?
You sent us.
Yes, yeah. So we've got sort of an outline of what to change in for the new annual report. Diane and I, to be honest, I have not had a chance to look at that at all, but I will.
Yeah.
But so Diane's made some excellent, suggestions, and so, we should be, as soon as we get that finalized, we should be able to submit it to the House and have her do a mock, design layout.
So actually, I mean, you don't need to actually print the strategic plan separately. You can combine one in the annual report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I just jumped on it because we're running out of time.
Right, yeah.
And actually, one of the things I was gonna just suggest was Gavin put all of it in here, including all the words of the text from the strategic plan. And there's a whole lot of it. I mean, I think you can work on that with formatting and, color and
Right.
stripes or whatever.
Right.
To make that, not so dense.
Right.
Red pen.
Yeah. Ancient
Think it's
types
all
and
we
red
need
ink
to
as
write
well.
here.
That's good.
Sorry, reading too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what we don't want to do, I mean, we want to eliminate some of the wordiness in those
Right.
prior versions, but then we don't want to go and cherry pick and drop important things out. So, you know, I think all of those details, if we eliminate some of the old wording, it'll help with this, but I think you can deal with a lot of, having a lot of this in. But, you know, use formatting and bold and some colored stripe background and a kind of picture or two as well.
So the strategic plan will just be integrated in with the annual report, and online version also.
Yeah. We had agreed to put it, place that last page, which is the future.
Right.
And the only other thing I mentioned to Devin, was about things at the last minute, was actually on the very back page of the annual report. We put the airport authority members first and then the staff second, and I would suggest those be flipped to really. I think women staff are more important than rotating them.
I think you guys should be,
No, I
I
think,
really do.
I think the staff should go first.
Yeah, I agree with that. So,
So, but anyway, I mean, so there's a good start to that, you know, Devin's already given a lot of suggestions and things, you guys will catch up a little bit. So,
back to you, Diane.
anything else? I think that sort of brings closure to the whole strategic plan update, Charles.
Yeah.
He's exhausted, we've got those. So thank you again for all that hard work.
Go
So, the other two standing committees, operating anything? Okay, I know Mike's got some for their service development, but you've got your upcoming meeting
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, I'll talk about that and
Okay,
talk to Grant a little bit about this, about a month or so ago, about meeting with, Meeting Hunt and, having that ASD committee meeting. Once I go to this meeting next week, and we get Doug working on the market study. I think I want him to do the market study and then have a meeting with ASD. That way he can present that market study with updated numbers. And, it shouldn't take long to get that done. But, I think he was talking about probably March, getting everybody together. The market study. Maybe at that time, airline we talk to, maybe we'll know more about that too.
And that's your American decision, though.
Yes, yeah. Most definitely we'll have to have some kind of decision for them. And I told Doug, I said, we'll just have to really pressure on this meeting next week.
so what's your feeling about it? Just gonna say, oh, really, I'm sorry, but
Yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know what to do. I know the pilot shortage. I know it's a big deal.
yeah,
Then, Doug told me about Columbus, what you did, but
yeah.
you did too. But then they also told me that to get rid of some of the 50-seaters that they have.
Mm.
And I don't know, because I always thought they were building up some of the 50-seaters, like them and United. But that ain't it.
I can share with you some
Yeah.
things that I've seen is that the 50-seat aircraft is going away.
Mm.
And that's what I've seen, especially United has decreased their service from 50-seat aircraft significantly throughout the country. And American hasn't decreased as drastically as United has. United has relied more on 50-seat service than American has. But the trend in the industry appears to be that the 50-seaters going away.
So what's the 50-seater? Those the ones they use for little hops, like from Miami to Atlanta?
Yeah.
Hmm.
That,
Well, short, small, more like Greenville to Atlanta.
Yeah, it's very for like,
CRJ 200s.
yeah.
I'm just thinking when I get
Yeah.
something and then short hop from Miami to Atlanta and suddenly it's like.
it's like what the basketball team uses those.
Those are so much.
Oh,
Basketball,
I don't know. what
They used to.
possibility-
Yes,
But
they
they use bigger planes now.
Now they do, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, the universities with the money, they, people on the big planes.
737's going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could.
Kentucky and.
Well, you're absolutely right. And still we get the the RJ's in for gymnastics and basketball.
I think, yeah, I was thinking women's basketball still.
What do the women's?
There was one in here the other day.
Yeah. That, I know gymnastics uses that one. And
Golf, swimming.
yeah, yeah,
So men's basketball is down to 737s.
yeah,
717s.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
seen other schools with 737s.
No,
Delta uses the 717s, I think, for all the teams, but
Yeah.
the big teams.
So the other thing that they mentioned in that article, that was soft demand,
Yeah.
not just the pilot shortage.
yeah, yeah, Columbus. And they had something made
Yeah,
as well.
Where were they connecting from?
Where was that? Was it, Washington?
I don't think I actually said in that piece I sent you,
I knew.
because they said it was, there's Plains, Texas, Long Beach, California, and Columbus, Georgia, the three that were cut, but they cut others. And they said pilot shortage and soft demand, and only 8 flights from those 3 airports a day, whereas they have a total of 5,000 airport flights a day. So I'm just curious what they're gonna say to you, you know?
Yeah, I am too.
That's really few for three little airports, 8 flights a day only, no wonder they're coming.
Looks like you got an Embraer. I just saw UGA,
Yeah, there was just a bus.
Really?
ERJ 145 out here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's might be gymnastics or the women's, but like you say, the men's, they are doing bigger. Anyway, so,
Best of luck with it.
yeah, appreciate it. I'll bet you. Back to work.
Anything else about the service development and marketing? Well, the final item of business is the minor matter, not so minor matter of the election. It's said Jeff is not here, but I don't think, you know, it stops us from going through all the process. I'm glad everybody participated. You know, yeah, I put up with my phone calls and emails and gentle reminders. But we have a candidate for the position of chair, as you know, Mr. Grant Tribble. Thank you for agreeing to stand. It's my pleasure to nominate you. So, I think what we need, well, that is a motion to, for Grant Tribble chair for the calendar year 2023. Motion, okay. Keith, second. Right, David. So, all in favor of Mrs. Tribble becoming chair for 2023? Show of hands, I guess we need, well, you can vote for yourself. Okay. I'm not allowed to vote on this.
Unless you want to vote against your right.
You're not allowed to vote against it. Just then I would step in and vote. So, thank you.
Thank you.
You could have like 11 rounds of this.
And then secondly, Jeff Benjamin, as you know, has agreed to stand for vice chair. And Keith, you want to say?
I'll make a motion for, based on discussions with Jeff and his interest, confirmed interest, I'll make a motion to elect Jeff as vice chair.
Okay, we need a second on that.
I'll second
Okay. So all in favor, chair? We've got 4, so congratulations, Chair. I'll let him know, I told him I'd send him a text again. But I'm really glad, actually, that both of you were willing to stand. And I think that's going to be a very interesting new team. Keith and I were joking with Mike the other day, saying, well, we'll now sit in the back seat. They'll take the front seat, but we won't be backseat drivers, we promise. Okay.
It'll be fun. Appreciate everybody's patience and understanding. Share the fun. Never flown a plane. I've jumped out of many. Never flown. So don't get too technical.
We can start pilot's lessons.
That's what I was
Lessons
gonna say.
today. A beautiful day.
Yeah.
Went to Alabama and back to this morning.
That's the first time it's ended.
Liked it that much.
Was that delivered or by, well, it couldn't have been by accident.
No.
You're sitting here.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it jumped across the
Oh,
road.
you're
I think
thrown
you
out,
might have got-
yeah.
You might have been pushed.
Pushed out.
That's just,
It's not that they would do that. Strongly encouraged. In fact, I think the first. Jump scoop. It's in bonus.
Well, I think I've shared a lot of stuff with Brenda already, but, you know, before I leave or when we're on the way, one, um, in context or other things, keep to,
We're here to help with that himself, I mean,
yeah.
you know, teach you everything you want to do.
I don't have a gavel to pass on to you, I'm needing my.
Got me a gavel. I had two gavels in Rome. One was just a regular gavel. The other one I got at Gatford, you know, it's that big mallet, you know, made out of wood. It's just a piece of, you know. He loved it. That's
Yeah.
what he saw.
Break the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it for the meeting, other than adjourning it, but I'll just say I won't be seeing you next time, except for the first meeting. Not far away. But I'll be back for the end of March meeting. So, you know, 10th February, getting up to Tanzania, and then to Kenya. Another thing into March. We're already connected on WhatsApp.
Yep.
And mine was Davin and Mike
Thank you.
and you, so. But you pulled up my phone number, if you, not that you're gonna want anything from me, I'm sure, but, you know. Not crying on the job at all, but, I'll definitely be back.
Thank you.
thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I'm looking forward to it, you know, I'm looking forward to the two gentlemen coming, and I'm just gonna sit and listen and learn.
Best position is the past position.
Yeah. Past check. Yeah. So between now and the 10th, though, I'll work with you some, and then, you know, Brent, if there's anything you want to offer, you know, set up a time to talk as little or as much as you want.
Do, need some fun. Through there for, what's going on out there.
Yeah. One of the.
Flight lessons start.
Great day for a discovery flight.
One of the first tasks that we already touched base on is just the organizing, assembling the committees and their membership and checks, because that technically should be voted on. Next meeting. All right, so any other business, reminders, comments, anecdotes? Well, then I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Very good. Second.
Second.
All right, great. Okay, all in favor of adjourning the meeting? Okay, bye.
Travels too.
Yeah. That gate is fixed.
I will send